There's something powerful about the journey of leadership, the daily steps, the long-term vision, and everything we learn along the way. Welcome to Leadership Labs, where we explore these journeys with the incredible leaders of Aurora Public Schools. In each episode, we hear from those who are helping guide our district toward Destination APS, sharing their stories, their challenges, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Today, I'm joined by Amy Kolquist, principal of Vista Peak Exploratory, a school that has achieved a performance rating for 10 consecutive years. You're in your 8th year, right?
I'm in my 8th year.
As principal, Amy leads a diverse community of students from preschool through 8th grade. Her sustained excellence offers valuable insights into what it takes, not just to reach high performance, but to maintain it year after year. In this case, pre and post-pandemic, creating consistency and stability for students, families, and staff. Amy, welcome to Leadership Labs.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.
We're glad to have you here. And I'm glad to have We Rise.
We are.
We are
Vista Peak. We are. Yeah.
Yes.
No, yeah, that's the shirt. That's this year's shirt. So yeah, you got to come over in it.
That's right. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes Vista Peak Exploratory such a special place.
Well, I am Amy Kolquist. Been the principal there, and incredible honor for this is my 8th year, as I say, and I always tell my families it's the greatest honor I can have to be trusted with their students every single day, and I take that very seriously. So, but really have a great time with it too. I love what I do. Love being a part of that community, and what makes Vista Peak, there's a lot that makes Vista Peak special. It's such an amazing community. It has, kind of been through the fluctuations of growing and being in the Northeast area, of kind of building community, then adjusting community as some of our neighbors have opened with Harmony and Highlands, and now Horizon Uptown that will be opening. And so just working with our community through that, but it's a special place, an amazing team of staff that just are the most dedicated people I've ever met. The kids, I just love them. Love that I get to go. They're the best coworkers in the world. I always tell them.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go to work with them every day, and our community itself is just so involved and dedicated, and wants to have the best possible school for their students and be a part of creating that. So it's the best place to be.
Yes, yeah. I love that so much. 10 consecutive years of performance ratings. That's extraordinary in our field of work. What do you think has been the key to that sustained excellence at Vista Peak Exploratory?
It's a lot of hard work. And it's an amazing team. I will say that. First and foremost, just we do have the team, is the success really rides on their shoulders, and they are such a good team, and they work so hard and constantly learn together, grow together, want to do best by kids all of the time, incredibly student-centered, always learning from each other. They're in each other's rooms all the time, and I'm in their rooms and just learning with them and want to be there. And again, we have, and creating that sense of belonging, that sense of joy of learning, but also really doing the work as well, and going through it, and our systems are really, that's been a huge part of our work, is how do we have the systems that allow people to be successful, and how is our team a part of making sure that they understand and develop those systems. So we have a very strong distributive leadership team. Okay. We have got about 25, 26 people who voluntarily are on that team and just involved in it. Our parents are a big part of our voice in that, but really thinking about over 10 years, and when we first moved, and Yolanda Greer before me kind of was the first principal to take the school to performance, and did a great job of leading that work. But it's still, performance, and having been a turnaround principal prior to, or turnaround administrator, I should say, assistant principal, and in a couple of different situations, when you're moving schools that way, it's you kind of get these spikes and valleys. Yes. And you might see a spike in performance and then a dip. And so it's really about how do we take what we have and then move through all of the motions to build off of that and create those strong, sustainable systems, and make sure everybody sees that common vision through over 10 years. And they throw a pandemic in the middle just
Right.
for a little bit of fun.
Yes.
To see what was going on there, you know. So that we were pretty, you know, it was a little rocky coming out of that if we were going to sustain, but we managed to, and now we feel like we're in a pretty good spot and moving even better. So
that's incredible, and congratulations to the whole team at VPE. You're in your 8th year. Has the rest of the team, for the most part, also been consistent over that time, or have you all, changed on that end as well?
We have a big team. Yeah. We have a really big team. I mean, over 100 staff members when you look at everybody, right. And then instructional staff, we fluctuate kind of in between 60 and 70, depending on where we're at any time. And so it definitely, there have been some changes. And I was fortunate that when I started, had a very, very strong AP who kind of helped support me and get me learning and did maintain. And then she retired, and have done some changes with our leadership team. But our leadership team now has been there. My instructional leader has been there the whole time. She was our teaching partner when I started. Our AP is now in her 4th year with me, I believe. And then our climate and culture coordinator actually has been a social worker with us and then moved into that role. Mm-hmm. So they've been there and developed in roles. And then a lot of my teaching staff has maintained, and we're pretty solid right now.
That's great.
So I love it.
Good.
Yeah. And support staff. I can't say just teaching staff. Our support staff is all in there. So, I mean, we have fluctuations, but right now we're pretty darn consistent.
Good. I'm curious, Amy, if you could share with us a little bit about, what first drew you to education, and then also just sharing your journey from, the early days in the field to becoming a school leader.
That is it's a story I can tell you. I call myself the accidental educator. My father was actually an educator my whole life, and I just never aspired to be that. I wanted to travel. I'm a traveler, and so I really wanted to find a way to see the world, and that was something that I wanted to do. And so I actually did a few things coming out of college. I was a communications major, which, I thought I'm a writer as well. So I was getting into writing, doing some things. I actually landed as a flight attendant, and I was flying on 9/11, and and so I was laid off after that because I was relatively new to it. And I got a job as a long-term substitute, and I was probably the worst substitute that would anybody. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. Sure. But I loved it. I was so bad, and I was so and I think the principals were like, she's got the heart. We just got to figure. And so I got a long-term substitute job, and I remember the books that my staff has heard this story many times, but the first year I was like, they were reading books, and I was like, oh, are they supposed to bring them back? Because none of the kids brought the books back. And so I lost all the books, and so I had no classroom management. But I had a few people who believed in me and really taught me, and so that's how I landed. And then I taught for a while. I taught for 10 years middle school literacy, and just, again, loved it and fell in love. And then I had a principal who saw some leadership qualities in me and started giving me a lot of leadership in the building. Stacy Miller, she's an amazing leader. And then she hired me as a dean of students to help open Knoll Community Arts School up in Montbello. And from there, I became an assistant principal with another phenomenal leader in turnaround. We went and did turnaround Sheridan with Ian Wells, who's now in Douglas County. Phenomenal leader. And then actually when he left that role, Nelson Van Brinken, who is currently our principal over at Side Creek, was hired as a principal at Fort Logan Northgate. And so he and I had a chance to kind of finish that turnaround work before I came to Aurora. Wow. So that's my education story.
Was there a defining moment for you when you realized you wanted to transition from like classroom to admin?
I think it was working with Stacy. I
Yeah.
think she saw it in me and kind of gave me that, she saw something I didn't know I didn't
Yeah.
see, and I really appreciate her for that, and always will. And started taking the classes, and again, I have a pattern of just diving in and not necessarily knowing and being good at something, but trying really hard
Yeah.
until I get there.
Yes. That's great. You did do a couple of name drops, but just, is there any other key mentors who helped to shape your leadership approach, or who have influenced the way you lead?
Um, yeah, I guess I did kind of jump into that one
No,
early,
that's
didn't
good.
I? I think those are go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I have when I student taught, Mr. Perez said to me, "You're gonna learn a lot here, and some things are good, and you might say I want to replicate this, and some things are not going to be so good that you're gonna
Yeah.
say I'm never gonna do it this way." And so, yeah, either way,
Yeah.
things you learn to do or not to do as a leader.
I did learn along the way some things I didn't want to replicate. And I hold those. I won't
Yes.
name drop any of those, but definitely hold those in just how you kind of approach different situations, and the human side of it. I think I learned, but I also really, again, Stacy was crucial. Nelson, and just I learned so much instructionally from him, and Ian, just about getting in and just doing the work and building the community to do the work. Another person who was very crucial to me, who I know we as at APS Community Loss, is Kathleen Shiverdecker, and just her work lives in my building right now, and is crucial, and all of our students are impacted, whether they know it or not, by the work that she did with our team. And so it's
incredible.
good to see that live in our building. But she is somebody who has always been a shining light to me, just like I know she is to
many of us.
so many of us. So I honor that work every day.
Yeah.
So
she was my mentor when I did the Ritchie program in Denver.
Yeah.
So
she's amazing. She's impacted far more than we.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing her into this space too.
Absolutely.
So I know you came to APS to be the principal of Vista Peak Exploratory. What drew you specifically to that school or at that time to join Team APS?
There's Kathleen Shiverdecker doing her interventions that she does. Because I was a time in my life I was the assistant principal and had been at Fort Logan Northgate, and the turnaround, and we had moved it through turnaround for about 6 years. My stepkids, who I've been in their life since they were 6 and 5, 6 and 4. So they had graduated, and so I was ready to kind of take that next step myself, and was looking at different principal jobs. And I had Aurora on the radar along with some other districts, and was kind of interviewing around, and I made it to the finalists at VPE. At the same time, I made it to the finalists over in Denver on the west side of town, which is actually where I grew up, and was sort of always been more my heart. I always thought that's where I would be. And so I love Red Rocks. I love that side. I love hiking. And so I had the interviews were on the same day, the finalist interviews. And so I took the one in the Denver school. It was also middle school, which is really my background. And I didn't get it. And so I was like, well, shoot, I guess I lost that opportunity. We'll see what happens. And I called Kathleen because she was running the APS. And I said, if something happens, let me know, if there's an opening, but I understand if there's not. And she said, well, actually, Vista Peak, you were their top choice. They wanted you in the finalists, and they didn't move forward with the other two. Would you be willing to come back? And I said, well, would they be willing to have me back? And they want me to come back? I don't know. And so I was like, I would. I really love the school. I love the community. It was just I think in my
Wow.
headspace, an area that was kind of far away from where I
Yeah,
thought
totally.
where I'd seen myself.
It is physically
Yeah,
far
it
away.
is physically far away.
From the
And
school you described and where you live
Yeah.
and where it is located. Yeah.
very, very two different places. And so I came back and it was just, I feel like one of those things. And I did love the interview, and
Wow.
my secretary was on my interview committee, and she's still my right hand
Oh,
woman,
good.
like nobody's business.
Yes.
So yeah, pretty amazing. So that's how I ended up there, and I'm so glad it turned out that way.
Me too.
I am so grateful.
Good.
And again, Kathleen's hand was right in the middle of it. So
Wow. I love that. You're now in your 8th year.
8th year.
How has your leadership evolved or changed during that time? And what have you learned about maintaining that high performance over the long term?
It's evolved, I hope, a lot.
Blessed secretary.
Yeah, so exactly. It's a lot. So I think, I've learned obviously a lot. You go through the ringer, and I kind of look at my journey through metaphors, and my team is always knows my metaphors. And I think that first year, I remember I felt like I was, if you've ever sailed, that and you're trying to turn a ship in a storm, and you just got to hold on, tight, and just hold the sail till the bow kind of turns. And I remember feeling that way, and kind of like we started turning the ship. Obviously, I came in, like you said, to performance, but it was sort of that
fragile.
It was fragile performance, and so we had to keep turning the ship. And then we hit COVID, and I think I really learned a lot about leading through and how do you bring people together. And the metaphor through that was really river rafting, just like you were just in it, and then every once in a while we get calm and you'd be like, okay, but you had to be in it together.
Right.
And so building team, I think, and really communication, and how do you do that, and then really learning as a team together. I think we went through, I called it going through the mud, like, because I think a lot of times we want to get to that end product, and our team wants to get to that end product, and we see what that vision is, but you don't get there through, you just don't land there.
Yeah.
And in order to get there, I was telling my team, I'm like, we got to get in the mud together.
Yes.
It's not going to be perfect. We're getting in, and I'm here with you. We're all in it together. And so I think that part of like helping people see the vision, and helping and working with them to it, and letting them know it's okay that we're not perfect in it right now. And I think that's something I've learned a lot. And then we just started, our next metaphor, I think, was just kind of hiking and being in the trees. And every once in a while, you do see that vision, and it's there, and you've got parts of it. But other times, you're in the thick of it. And so I think that's kind of, I don't know if that answered your question well, but totally. Thinking about how I developed and really thinking about the human factor of my team is something that, as a leader, I try to, I've moved, when we talk about above and below the green line, I have a tendency to, when I started, especially, I think I was above the green line a lot. And how do you bring that below the green line in, and really help people know that they're such a crucial part of the work that's being done. So some of those lessons, I learned them because I messed up a lot. I did something, and I was like, "Oops, I will not do that again."
That's how we learn. Yes, thank you for sharing that. As you know, this is probably one of the harder questions that leaders who join the podcast are asked, because there's so much to celebrate, especially if you're there as long as you've been. But do you have a proudest moment at VPE so far? 8 years in.
Oh, I have so many. Yeah, I know. I prefer to answer that question. I wish, like, Lisa was able to, win the state champion or get to the state championship, if they had that game. But I have so many that it is really hard for me to say that I have one, because so many of them too are in the day today. And I'm so proud of my team on such a regular basis, and for how they meet adversity, how they
Yes.
work through it together, how they, we do learning walks in our building where one day everybody gets into each other's rooms, and we do that. They do that. We do it during their plan time, and they work together to get into each other's rooms and go with the focus of what we're working on and see the celebrations in the building. And I will tell you, we did and nobody called in sick. I mean, it's like they want to be there.
Yeah.
They want to be in each other's rooms. They want to show each other their practice and share practice. And that just like brings me so much joy. And then, to see our students, we have these phenomenal, we have the best theater arts program for middle school. And I'd say we rival high schools anyway.
Wow.
To see, our students shine like that and shine in their concerts and in their sports. And I was in the first grade room the other day watching a student figure out how to decode, and
Yes.
the pride on their face.
Right.
Like when they're there, and for us, it's like you don't remember when you learned how to read.
Right.
Man.
Yes.
To see, and they give you, this, they give you that look like they know you're watching them, and they look at you and they're kind of smiling like
yeah. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And so I can't say there's one. I mean, and I'm so proud of how we have moved into solid proficiency.
Yes.
And our performance, and we still have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
It's because of the work that so it was a horrible.
No, it's a great answer. I love it.
I can't narrow it down. I can't. There's too many.
I know it's a tricky question.
And I saw our girls soccer team. Boy, they were fighting the other day, and they came out with the win. But our parents, it was crazy. It was like watching the Bronco game. Oh. But there's so many.
I love that. Thank you for sharing them.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I been really interested in what you're going to respond to this next question around the leadership playlist. Because every time that I've been in your office, you have a really interesting book on your table.
Yes.
I mean, you know this about yourself. And I think, and so
that's I have 2 texts right now. I have 3 texts I'm actually focused on, and those
tell us all about them
in my space. So I have them there because I reference them. So a more beautiful question by Warren Berger is actually in More Beautiful, More Perfect. Now I can't even think. Is one of the ones, and the reason that's on there is it's not necessarily designed for education. It's actually a business book, right? Yeah. About questioning and about curiosity and about, in this day of, we can find anything on Google. How do you create curiosity and critical thinking? And so, but there's a couple chapters in there that are around the idea of questioning in schools, and who owns the questioning in schools, and how do we teach? Kids are so curious up to the age of 5, which right? You've got your
That's right.
And they want to know everything.
Yes.
And it starts to diminish. And so from a leadership standpoint, and then when we see it actually kind of just tanks when they get into middle school. And yet this idea and if you go into a classroom, it is hard to ask critical questions. Yeah. And so usually a lot of times the questioning gets owned by the teacher. And so something we're really working around is this idea of how do we instill that curiosity in our students. And so from a leadership standpoint, for me, is really thinking instructionally, how are we doing that? And then I have Goldie's book on there, The Joy. And so that's just a huge part of the belonging, and just
absolutely.
We've been doing book studies, and I just love her take, and it's such a fun book to read, and I actually read it in bits and pieces as I go. So that's on there, and and that's something, the belonging in the culture, and is such an important part of how we create space. And so we always talk about one of our, I missed another mentor of mine. Her name is Angie Julian, and she is a phenomenal. I started working with her at Fort Logan North Cape and she came with me and as a consultant the last couple of years with. She was with West Ed for a while. I worked with her, and then she went into private work. But and has had such an impact on the culture and belonging. And she talks about how do you bring kids in from the margins. And kids can at any point marginalize themselves in the classroom. It's not always, and it's that culture of belonging and joy. And so she's actually the one who gave me that book, and said, this is where I want you to focus right now, right before she retired. So that's what's on there. That's why those are there right now.
Love it.
Yep.
What about music? What are you listening to, or what are you listening to? Yeah. What's your theme song?
My theme song. They're asking me. So I will go from Justin Timberlake to Beyonce to Luke Combs to I mean, you give me just about anything. To the Harry Connick Jr. is going to always be one of my all time. I haven't listened to him a lot lately, but to put him on
the all time list.
I'm happy. Yeah. So I listen to just about. It really depends on my Banks. I don't know if you know Banks. I love her music too, and so it's all there.
Yes.
It depends on my mood.
Yeah,
but if I had another career, I would definitely be Beyonce's backup dancer. So that is, I would. And I don't think she'll have me. I'm not as good as
you're offering if it does.
But it's not to say I haven't tried. In my living room, that's I look like I could be Beyonce's backup dancer.
I love that. Okay, Destination APS lightning round. So what does Destination APS mean to you and the VPE community?
It really, to me, it means being the place that our students know that they will succeed, and that they have the supports, and not just our students, but our staff. When you think about where people stay and that joy, it's like, do I have a place that I can be successful? This is such a hard job, regardless, wherever you are in education, from being a teacher to a para to the
leader,
to in the custodian, everything. It's a hard work, and so to me, it's creating that space where people see their success and see how powerful they are in that work, and then through that, our students seeing how powerful and important they all are, and that their voice, every single voice in this district matters, and has a place, and will have what it needs as it, when it grows up. So I'm still growing up, so I still want to be somewhere when I grow up, but that's what it means to me.
Thank you for sharing that. If you could share one secret to maintaining high performance over many years.
What
is it? What would it be?
Work hard, play hard. I think you go and you got to do the work. You got to do. There's never a time that you're dialed in. You can be doing well. You can have the focus. You can know your systems are strong. You can lean on that consistency and that reliability. And consistency is that piece, right? But you got to show up every day. Like every day, you've got to do the work and lean into it, and then you got to enjoy yourself and your time too. Like we played pickleball yesterday. Got a little pickleball going in there, but and having that balance. Making sure that you're enjoying yourself outside too.
It's hard work. And it never gets easier, even when you're maintaining performance. Yeah,
it does.
That's right.
It isn't as it's easier in that you got this thing.
You're not like
I will say that I would not hold on to the sail anymore. I don't feel that, but there are days I'm like, "Whoa, I feel that one." So
that's right.
It is, and I've got a team in place that really helps lift that load. So
good.
Yeah, but we have a good time together.
All right, my last question is, especially for any aspiring leaders out there, what is one piece of advice you would give to them as they consider, making that jump from maybe a classroom to an admin role?
You gotta do the job before you get the job, which I think people have heard. So really recognizing, and I think when I was aspiring to leadership, and again, why it was so nice to have Stacy is she gave me these finding those opportunities. You do have to find them and sort of dive into them, so that you have a pretty full tool belt. I lean now on things that I did back in 2010,
Yeah.
that I was learning how to do. She put me as our RTI coordinator, and I didn't know what that meant. But
You did it.
we don't even
Yeah.
have RTI as MTSS now, but I understood.
Right.
It helped me understand those systems, and so all of those opportunities, and it is hard work and it's extra work, but it teaches you so many skills, I think, that you don't know you're going to need later.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
every chance I've had, I've been like, oh, I'm so glad I did that.
Uh-huh.
So I would say that,
That's
and
great.
be willing to get in the mud.
Yeah.
Always just know it's never perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get dirty.
That's right. That's a great piece of advice. Well, Amy, thank you for sharing some of your leadership story with us today. Your story demonstrates that sustained excellence isn't accidental, but it requires consistent vision, adaptability, and the deep commitment to every student, not just from you as a leader, but the team that you've developed and brought along and have been able to keep on the journey with you at VPE. The 10 years performance rating at VPE is a testament to your leadership and the incredible work of your entire community. Join us next time as we continue exploring the paths of those who are helping guide us toward Destination APS. Until then, keep running your race with purpose.